according to the fourth period, and Matt Larkin, he has 8 potential landing spots for defenseman Jakob Chychrun.
Matt Larkin.
Of the Ottawa Senators.
I don't want this guy already because I can't spell his name or probably say it.
Chychrun.
Yeah, that's too many
too
many consonants. Well, yeah, until there's a bunch.
Just call him Luke Richardson's nephew.
That's right.
It's a lot more characters, but I think we could maybe work with that.
$4.6 million for next year only. Then he will be a unrestricted free agent. Plays both sides defensively, left and right. Veteran, but this is a guy and I'm not putting him in the same boat as Pierre-Luc Dubois, but he played for Arizona, Ottawa, and if whoever he moves to will be his third team as a 26-year-old. When I look at the 2 teams he was on, though, Arizona and Ottawa, I'm not going to make too much of that.
2 poorly run franchises.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. It's maybe not the ideal name, but as these names keep coming out, we are kind of getting indication of where the Hawks are sniffing around, what they're looking to add, and it's not just spot fillers. I think they're looking to add some, maybe not super long-term deals, but they're trying to find some guys that are going to come in and make this team significantly better.
Yeah. Chychrun, so is he your ideal candidate to be that, like, second-pair guy to pair with Korchinski to help his development the way Alex Vlasic has benefited from being paired with Seth Jones? I don't think so. So the fact that he plays can play the right side, I don't know if that's what you want to do unless you're moving Korchinski down to a third pair. Then you say, okay, then those two aren't matched up. Then you could play him on the left side, and if you shelter Korchinski as a third pair defenseman who maybe you give him an opportunity to be a little bit more of a power play specialist in his second year, okay. I don't know. I don't know if that's the exact fit in the defensive group that the Blackhawks are necessarily looking for as far as his skill set. Obviously, being on a 1-year deal, that's fine. You can have the year play out. If he comes in, does really well, and you flip him at the deadline, cool. If he does so well and he likes it here and the organization likes having him around, you extend him, cool. I just don't know if I just don't know if I'm sold that the fit is great, but also I could be talked into seeing it work out. On the other hand, does he want to be on his third rebuilding team? As a guy who's never played in the postseason,
I would say the difference, though, between Arizona perennial rebuilding and Ottawa perennially rebuilding is the Hawks actually have a path forward. And he knows they're going to spend money. They've spent money in the past. They've won in the past. So it's a little bit different. I'm looking at capitalfriendly.com, and they have scouting reports and overall grades. This kind of surprised me. They have him as a first pair projection, an 85 rating. And here's their kind of scouting report on Jakob Chychrun. This was from February, actually updated March 4th, 2024. Chychrun has contributed offensively for the Senators. He's produced 9 goals and 22 assists in his first 59 games played. Continues to average north of 23 minutes per game. All of his ice time comes at even strength in the power play. In his defensive detail ranges, his minus 15 rating is the worst of any defenseman on the Senators roster. There are times in games he has difficulty timing his gaps and keeping opponents outside the dots in his zone. Best described as a two-way D who isn't shy about directing pucks on net in the offensive zone. He's been credited with 145 shots on goal and contributes offense on the power play, 4 goals and 8 assists. Plenty strong, 50 hits, 107 shot blocks. Excellent skater, affordable deal at $4.6 million. They have him as a top pairing defenseman at even strength. So... yeah, I don't know. I think the puck moving out, because we've been talking about like a guy like Chris Tanev making a lot of sense, who's basically all defense and definitely right side. But the idea of putting a guy who is also able to move the puck and willing to put the puck on net is not a horrible idea for Korchinski either. Or, maybe you mix and match that a little bit. Maybe Korchinski's with Jones and then you put Vlasic with Chychrun or however you want to do it. I don't know. To me, it's not my top option, but I would certainly be excited about Jakob Chychrun coming to Chicago.
I think if the deal makes sense, because what's Ottawa going to want for him? They seem like they're hard to read because it's like, oh, we might trade our 7th overall pick, which you could really use. Or, hey, we might try and buy to contend right now. Yeah, you could also do that. Like, but you got to pick. You got to pick which way you want to go. Do you want to give up a guy like Jakob Chychrun to build for the future, or are you going to trade your 7th pick to try and build for now while also they're a confusing situation.
They very much are.
It looks like they're trying to undo a lot of the wrong things Pierre Dorian did.
Yeah.
I mean, the Alex DeBrincat trade turned out to be not so great.
Didn't pan out.
They
for
gave
them.
up a lot more than what they got for him, and they only got 1 year of him, and
they didn't make the playoffs. And yeah,
they gave up a lot for Jakob Chychrun, and it hasn't worked out for them on the ice. What did they give up for him? Hold on, stand by. They gave up a first-round pick in 2023, a second-round pick in 2024, and a second-round pick in 2026. So they gave up a first and 2 second-rounders.
Does it say who that first pick ended up being?
It does not.
It went to the Coyotes, right?
Yeah,
so it would have been the number 12
Russian
pick. It was Daniel Butt.
Daniel Butt.
Yeah.
Can't have too much.
So it just, I don't know.
That's a lot to give. Jesus.
Yeah, and now
Yeah,
you're going
that
to
was-
trade him,
and now you're gonna flip him again.
He's the hot commodity.
and you're going to flip him, and you're not going to get what you gave up for him
Hell
because there's
no.
only 1 year
No.
left. Chychrun, though, this is his last year of his deal, and he's turns 27 at the end of March. So this is where he's going to be like, I need to have the season of my career so
true.
I can get that huge mega deal and be secure the rest of the career. So, and the fact that they're already dangling him out there tells me he's got no interest of
Sticking around.
re-signing there. They already know that. He's gone, so let's trade him now.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Chychrun, 1 year, And is he, like, again, with the defensive situation that the Hawks have coming, and I know not all those guys are going to be great defensemen. Some of them may not even, but is that a guy you really want to invest long-term after this year? They're not really in the spot to, like, get 1 year rentals. Like, it's not, does it?
I mean, but how long are you going to sign Chris Tanev for? 2 years?
2 to 3 years?
So, I mean, maybe if you give Chychrun a year, and if he loves it here and you really like what he brings, you could say, because I don't think he's ever going to be $9 million, $10 million.
Never underestimate the dumbness of NHL general managers when it comes to number 1 pair defenseman.
But what I'm saying is,
look what Darnell Nurse's
But if
contract
he's here,
was.
I don't believe Kyle Davidson will do something reckless or stupid
wouldn't
with the
do that,
salary.
no.
Which means somebody else will, and he'll be gone.
If they move him.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
But
I mean, even if you want to rent him until the deadline and give Del Mastro or Allen or whoever you might have pegged for that spot the half the season in Rockford to get 100%.
what does that really accomplish, though? Like,
I think it makes your team better in
it
the
does,
short term.
and then it does make your team better in the short term. But if to get them to flip them, that's kind of counterproductive to what Kyle Davidson was saying. What message does that send to your locker room? Hey, we got this really good defenseman in here. Our team's better, and guess what? We're trading him.
Well,
yeah.
And what if you're 5 points out of a wild card spot at the
Yeah.
deadline? You're not moving him then.
Well, I see your
Probably
point
not.
too, because
But maybe.
you're right. If you are still in it, you don't want to move a guy who is probably your 3rd best defenseman if things go the way we expect next year. But then you're saying you're also not in a point to give him a 8-year deal, or you know what I mean, and lock him up.
Somebody
long
might.
term. Right. So
So-
yeah, it's
Yeah.
I
And
don't
here's
know.
the thing. Anybody who's got a big contract that's on the trade market,
Correct.
of course the Blackhawks are going to be potential landing spot because they're one of the only teams that can take on a big contract.
Yeah, and
Well,
the
and
Luke
his
Richards
isn't that
factor,
big.
No,
too.
4.6.
But
That's
still,
yeah.
they have cap space. They want to add players. Of course, you can connect the dots. And Luke Richardson being his uncle also makes it easy thing to go, well, that's something that could happen.
I think the idea of bringing him in isn't crazy.
It's not the worst thing in the world. I just don't know if you're going to do it for 1 year, what that really accomplishes.
Well, think about this. Like, Foligno was brought in on a 1 year. He had a 1 year deal. Perry, before he was dismissed from the team, it was a 1 year deal. Like, Dickinson was on. He was on the last year of his deal. Like, it's if you're here and you're performing well and you're bought in and you're not a peen, like you're gonna be able to, be invested in if you want it. Like Kyle Davidson's going to identify guys that help push this team forward, and I don't know. with Chychrun, I feel like if he comes in, and let's say you do move Korchinski down to a third pair role, pull him back a little bit to let him eventually grow forward. If your top 4 next year is Vlasic, Jones, Chychrun, Murphy, I don't hate that.
No.
And if let's say you do get Chris Tanev, like say you also do get Chris Tanev, then if it's Vlasic, Jones, Chychrun, Tanev, Korchinski, Murphy, and then Kaiser's your 7th guy or Del Mastro or whoever, I'm okay with that defensive group for at least 3/4 of a season.
I think the only difference between what you're illustrating with Foligno and Mrazek is those guys were old and their biggest contracts are behind them. Dickinson is an exception, but I also wonder if Jason Dickinson hit free agency, what he would command, and I don't think it would be what I would imagine Chychrun will demand next summer. And
Dickinson would have probably demanded slightly more than what he got.
If Chychrun wants to re-sign here for 2 years, yes.
I just don't.
I just don't see it happening.
He's gonna be a guy that if he is resigning, it's like 6 years.
He's gonna be 27. A 27-year-old defenseman is not signing anywhere for 2 years.
Right?
No.
We all silly like the mayor.